just gonna wait a couple more seconds in case some more pop on. I don't know about you, but my computer has been real funky, so it takes a long time for me to do anything, including getting on Zoom these days. So okay, hopefully you can see my screen. We'll get started. We are in week 3 of the 10 for 10 challenge. So hopefully everyone's doing well. I myself, I hope I didn't say this before, but I'm trying to play along with this challenge as well, because I needed a little kick in the rear to get me going after a long hiatus of not working out. So anyways, proud to report I now have blisters on my hands from my strength training routines I started back up again. So good or bad, I guess I have proof that I've been working out. But hopefully you all have found some motivation and have been using some information to help you make some progress over the 3 weeks. Today we're going to jump into nutrition, which is usually where everyone wants to learn all their information from. We're going to quickly review kind of our physical activity habits from last week. We're going to just dive into the basics of nutrition right now. We're not going to get really into the weeds today, but those will be in the next coming weeks. So this is just kind of the primer into some of the more in-depth stuff. We'll get into the macros, like why and how much we should be eating of protein and fats and carbs and stuff in subsequent sessions. So hold tight. This is going to be more of an overview. And then we'll talk about some homework as far as tracking what we eat, and then we'll get a little bit more specific as we go through in the next few weeks. So to start, how did you guys all do with tracking activity? Anyone want to shout out or chat how they're doing?
I tried to get on that crazy machine that we have back there. I couldn't figure it out.
Which one?
That tempo thing.
Oh, the mirror. I think we're all logged out. Were you even able to, so that we had, were you able to make an account?
I put my stuff in there, but then I need to invite or something. So
we must have ran out of account spaces. So last week I had to go in and ask them to like remove some older ones so that we had room for new ones. So that might have been why you didn't get in. But I'm hoping to get that remedied this week. But good attempt. We'll give you credit for that. Anyone else want to share? Okay, quiet. So we'll jump into nutrition here. It probably won't take the whole half hour, so that's good. But we're going to talk just generally why eating well is good for you beyond just weight loss. Obviously, that's the number one thing when you're trying to lose weight. Nutrition is going to be your best focus area when it comes to weight loss. Weight management, obviously nutrition plays a part, but fitness can also start to play a part in weight management. But when it comes to really trying to lose pounds and maybe lose a lot of weight, nutrition and your diet is going to be where you're going to find the fastest success and the most sustainable success. So really what you're eating is important to what your weight was going to be. But there are other benefits of eating a good diet. One, inflammation has been shown to be caused by a lot of the more processed foods in our body, and inflammation is a trigger for a lot of different conditions and diseases, and just overall fogginess in our bodies and our minds and stuff. It can help you have glowing skin, a happier mood, more energy, so less fatigue if you're eating the right foods. And we'll talk about this more when we get into the different kinds of macros and how that sustains our energy. It definitely helps boost our immunity if we're eating the right foods and those full of antioxidants. Antioxidants are kind of the medicine to the processes our body goes through that develop sort of like little toxins in our bodies called oxidants. So antioxidants kill those free radicals that are produced in our body just through natural life. So that's why having a myriad of colors in your diet is super helpful, because all those colors are indicative of a different type of antioxidant. So eating the rainbow really is helpful to the body, and producing that immunity. When we eat better, we tend to have less unhealthy cravings. We definitely sleep better. There's more focus, concentration, like I said, less brain fatigue, less chronic body in the pain. That has to go back to that inflammation too, and reducing inflammation. Stronger body and brain. These are our building blocks. We don't just naturally grow without fueling our body with food and nutrients. So this is what gives us that growth and that strength, and many other things. I don't have a big enough sheet to list them all, but there are lots of important reasons to eat healthy and to eat. A lot of people undereat and are underperforming for their body. I guess I should go into presentation mode. That might be better for you guys to see. So the basic premise that we always try to push here at the health department is to focus on clean eating rather than like a specific diet or anything. So the premise behind this is try to eat foods that closest to their natural state as possible, knowing that these are going to be where most of our nutrients, our vitamins, our minerals are going to be held. The more things get processed, the more those things are stripped of their vitamins and minerals, and or they have to be added back in some way. That's not as natural as the body generally is used to. So that also means limiting processed and refined foods. Those tend to be lower in nutritional value. We need to get those vitamins, those minerals, even the fiber and the water from those foods when they're more so in their natural state. So hopefully most of you knew this premise before, but when we talk about clean eating, basically we're saying focusing more on whole foods and less on the processed or boxed foods, canned foods. So here is a quick little game I was going to have for swaps, things that you maybe are eating or thought maybe at one time are healthy, and then some alternatives that are a little bit more towards their natural state. So when you look at margarine, that's pretty processed. And is, the vegetable, it's usually created through vegetable oils, which are basically stripped out of the vegetable or the produce. So you're losing a lot of those vitamins and minerals. Real butter is obviously the better alternative there. It's less processed, it's more in its natural state, has a great content of fat for the body. And so butter is a great alternative. A lot of people even go one step healthier, and maybe you're eating ghee or organic butter, or maybe just stick with like olive oils and stuff. So there's lots of kind of stages on that healthy spectrum, but just in general, switching from margarine to just general butter would be a good step. Rather than a sugary jelly, where again, they're breaking down that fruit and then adding in sugars, eating the fruit itself and mashing it, or adding honey, or, using honey in place of it for your sugar. Veggies instead of crackers. A lot of people think like veggie straws and stuff are a good option. I mean, they're not bad in moderation, but it's no better than probably a regular chip or cracker, because they've really stripped a lot of those vitamins or minerals out and then had to add them back in and call them veggie straws. Miracle Whips, those kind of things are pretty processed unless you make your own. There are some that are cold pressed, which means that they don't heat the oil at all, so it doesn't change its chemical structure. So you can find some oil pressed or cold pressed mayonnaise options, which are good, or you can make your own. But other kinds of things like avocado mashed or whatnot can be a good replacement on sandwiches and stuff. Real maple syrup over the fake stuff. Squash spaghetti pasta over regular pasta. Sourdough breads over regular breads or bagels. So sourdough actually, gosh, I used to know this, haven't visited it for a while, is more helpful for the body as far as the sensitivities one to gluten and stuff, but it doesn't spike the body's insulin like regular refined breads and sugars do. So sourdough, has something in, I can't remember what, but does respond better to the body when you're choosing a bread. Less fruity mixed cocktails versus maybe like a glass of red wine. Obviously, oatmeal is going to be better for you than a sugary cereal, but then even oatmeal can have its limitations. So lots of different ideas, but basically we're trying to focus on things that are in their more natural state than their processed states when you're thinking of what to eat. So some of these things aren't necessarily what I consider like an A+ of a healthy food, but they're better than an alternative like a sugary Lucky Charms bowl. So when it comes to quality over quantity, there are some things to take into consideration based on what your goals are with this program. So if weight loss is your goal, focusing on quantity can be important to you. The science goes that 3,500 calories burned equals 1 pound of burned by the body. And basically in this premise, a calorie is a calorie. So if you're overeating, even if you're overeating on apples and oranges, you're still going to be gaining weight if you're putting in more calories than your body demands of itself. So therefore, when you create a deficit in calories, then you're going to experience weight loss. What this philosophy doesn't necessarily take into effect is how those caloric deficits are going to impact your body's performance and your health, and then just overall sustainability of that weight loss. So a lot of times when you restrict calories, you're going to change your metabolic rate and your metabolism, that engine of the body. You're not going to be able to put on muscle as well or maintain that muscle if you're not fueling the body. Also, obviously, calorie restrictions can lead to health problems if you're not eating enough and you're starving the body. So there's lots of different things that, just by focusing on quantity isn't maybe necessarily going to be your overall goal. But if you're trying to lose weight, it literally is the science of, burning or having a restriction of 3,500 calories to lose a pound. Quality is where it's going to affect more of your health and well-being outcomes. So by choosing the quality of foods over quantity, you're going to impact your risk for diabetes and heart disease, cancers, all those kind of things. You're going to have better performance and fitness when you focus on quality. Sometimes it's easier to help manage your weight over time and keep that weight loss off if you get to that point when you focus on quality. And obviously, we've already talked about the myriad of benefits of brain fatigue and having better focus and concentration, energy levels, better moods and stuff. So depending on what your goals are for the program, you may want to focus more on quantity at certain times and more on quality at certain times based on what your goals. If you're not someone who needs to lose a whole lot of weight, but you're just looking to get a little bit healthier, I would focus more on the quality of what you're eating. If you're someone who needs or wants to lose a significant amount of weight, you maybe need to focus on the quantity for a while and then move over to the quality side of things. So it's all a balance. Here's a quick video just to kind of give you a little idea on things you could choose. This is a really old video, I apologize, but it still has good content, I think. So, and it's a shorter video, so I will play it quick.
Hi, I'm Dr. Pam Peake. I'm the author of Fit to Live. Confused about what to eat? Well, I'm going to help you. I'm going to use cutting-edge medicine and science to be able to point the way. Well, I'm going to make it simple. 3 elements: quality, quantity, frequency. Follow with me. The first one is quality. How do you know you're eating quality food? Well, the first thing is, here's a tip, look for 5 colors in your eating. That means that as you look at whole foods like this, look, I can count 7 colors here. Be macho and go for the big 7, but 5 is the basic. Why? Because the richer the color, the deeper the level of antioxidant, and we love that because that helps augment aging. So when you look at a donut and an apple, come on, quality. What's not to believe? Quantity. Now here's where everyone gets an F-. I know you're eating healthy foods, but you're eating mountains of them. Quantity means looking at the serving size, the portion size. Grand majority of people are so confused about this that even if you've got quality down to a fine science, quantity falls apart. You have to read the label, understand what a serving is, so that as you're looking at a serving of everything, for instance, oatmeal, this is a wonderful whole grain, but you have to have a half a cup uncooked and then go for it. Add some blueberries. People are eating just plain too much food. And the next thing you want to look at is frequency. Frequency means you eat every 3 to 4 hours. Most people leave years between meals. You don't want to do that because that plays with your insulin levels. They go way too high, way too low. That sparks that horrible appetite to eat anything that's not tacked down. So what you want to do is starting with healthy breakfast in the morning. Here's a little factoid. If you don't have a healthy breakfast every morning, research shows you will never be able to achieve optimal body composition and be the healthiest you can possibly be, nor maintain that. So it's important to have that healthy breakfast. Orange juice, good old Florida citrus over here. You've got blueberries, you've got whole grains you can have. Good grief, fruit. And then as you go through the day, how about snacks? Every 3 to 4 hours means you've got to fill in those blanks. You could use something as simple as yogurt or cottage cheese. Why? They have a wonderful blend of carbohydrate, high quality protein, and fat. Add a little granola for some crunch too. Lunchtime comes around and it could also look like dinner. That means lots of greens, wonderful vegetables, lots of colors too, as well as lean protein. That means lean poultry as well as fish, or even how about a veggie burger on whole grain? All of this comes together to say, well, we have quality, quantity, frequency. If you put those together, then what you have is healthy eating at the cutting edge.
Okay. A very old video, I apologize, but the bulk of her message is kind of similar to what we're getting across. So focus on whole foods. Obviously, quantity is going to be an issue for some of us. I didn't talk about, but she picked up on the frequency side of things, and that is super important as well. So if you guys are someone who, goes long periods of time between eating and gets to the point where you're starving, and then that's what causes or triggers you to eat too much or whatever, what happens is you're kind of taking your metabolism on a roller coaster. And so it doesn't really know what speed it should be at because it goes long periods without food, and then it's given fuel, and then it's not. So the premise behind eating every 3 hours or so is to help that engine kind of run idly at a nice clip, to keep that metabolism up and not give you that burnout and that kind of stuff too. And obviously the quality of fuels that you're giving every 3 hours is going to impact it too. She didn't talk a lot about this. We'll get into this more when we get into the macros, but making sure that our meals include a good combination of fats, proteins, and carbs is going to be helpful too. Here's a simplistic way to think about what you're eating. If you're really struggling with, I don't know how to do this, look at the MyPlate model. And this is a modified version because the MyPlate model is more for someone who's looking to maintain their weight versus maybe losing their weight. So if you're trying to lose weight, you're going to want to use a modified version. But essentially half of your plate or half of your meal, you want to be vegetables and non-starchy ones at that. So things like greens and lettuces. On this plate, it'd be the lettuce, the peppers, the tomato, and the radishes. So lots of different options there. I would say, obviously, they don't have any dressing or dip or anything, but add that in. I mean, that's where you're going to get your healthy fats, your ranch or whatever vegetable dip it might be. A fourth of your plate, quarter of your plate, you want high quality protein foods. So on this plate in particular, it's the cheese and the eggs. Might be meat, beef, pork, fish, whatever it might be. Cottage cheese is very high in protein. Some Greek yogurts are pretty high. So find a good quality protein. And then another quarter can be your starches or grains. So whether that's, in this case, it's peas and carrots and potatoes, those starchier foods, but it might be, a slice of bread if you're someone who likes grains, or mashed potatoes, something like that. So again, the focus isn't here like this huge steak and a little, a big heaping of mashed potatoes and gravy and then a little thing of green beans, but it kind of flips it on the reverse, and green beans are going to be your focus. You're going to have that quarter of steak and a helping of mashed potatoes. So kind of got to rethink what we traditionally would load our plates up like. It's always helpful. I think for me in particular, I struggle with like snack ideas, especially at work. And so there is going to be a Jamboard I'm going to pop up for you guys, but I wanted to take some time to just share what do you guys bring to work for snacks, because I think this is the hardest thing, and sometimes our downfall is we go for something that's easy and quick, like a bag of chips, rather than thinking and practically about what we should be eating and how to make that a healthy snack. So I'm gonna copy in the chat a link to the Jamboard, so see if you guys can get into that. And then, if any of you haven't used a Jamboard before, basically over here on the left-hand side, there's this little sticky note pad. You're gonna tap it and it's gonna pop up a sticky note. Pick a color if you want. But if you have good snack ideas, I want you to share them right now, and then it'll pop up on this board and we can kind of see what everyone's ideas are. So hit save when you're done and your idea pick up. So some ideas might be things like, you know, beef sticks or cheese sticks and maybe some crackers with that, boiled eggs, chips and salsa with avocado. So some of these things take thought and some planning and preparation, but maybe you guys have some better ideas on what are snacks that you bring to the office or wish you brought. Ooh, pistachios, I like those. My go-to used to be apples and peanut butter. Oops. Or apples and yogurt mixed with peanut butter. Hummus. Mixed nuts, those are good. Cottage cheese, veggies, dips. Yeah, don't be afraid to use things like ranch dressing or dip, you know, vegetable dips and stuff. If that's going to help you eat your vegetables, like go for it. Those still have healthy fats in them that your body needs. And so it's not like you're eating the entire bottle of ranch dressing with those vegetables. So if that's what's going to help you make it, eat it. Okay. Next, I want to ask you about lunch ideas. I know that can be another tricky area that can stumble us up because we don't pack or don't prep for our lunches, and then maybe we run out of ideas on what we should do. So does anyone have any like solid ideas they use for their lunches to keep them on track? And salads obviously are a great way. I am one who, like, if I'm cooking supper for the family and it happens to be chicken or steak or something like that, I'll make sure I make extra so that I can bring it to lunch and have it as part of my meal. Or if I can throw it on a salad, I'll do that. Portioning dinner leftovers. Thanks, Courtney. That's a good idea. Stew. Excellent. I wish I was one of those people that you see online that are like organized and they have their 5 lunch containers prepped on Sunday and then they put them in their fridge. That's not me though. I admire those people, but I don't think that will ever be me. I also feel like I couldn't eat the same 5 days in a row. But yeah, right now in my life, I'm definitely a leftover person. I used to be a huge salad person. So I'd have a salad and then I'd cut up turkey or chicken or put a handful of mixed nuts on it, those kind of things, and would eat it. I was not very good. I have not been very good. Oh, good. Tuna packets. That's a good idea. Those are things that I always forget, but those are really handy, easy to store and easy to use in multiple different ways, whether it's to a lettuce salad or maybe you're going to make a pita with them or whatever. Good idea on the tuna packets. And economic. Wraps, good. So lots of good ideas. Rotisserie chickens, that's a good idea too. I will grab those from, you know, if I'm at Walmart or Hy-Vee or something, sometimes they'll have a good sale on those and I'll grab them, and that's a great quick way to have some chicken available as well. So, okay, good ideas. You can certainly add more. You can go back to this link whenever you want and look at them, but I'll get back to the presentation here so we can wrap up. So, in general, recommendations just for today, before we get into the real specifics next time, are one, focus on maybe smaller, more frequent meals. So rather than having huge meals, maybe 2 or 3 times a day, you're eating every 3 to 4 hours consistently. Reduce your added sugars. That's going to be our goal for today. So we are going to do that through kind of avoiding those processed or packaged or boxed foods. That's going to be our homework. I'll get to that next, but trying to avoid things that have added sugars into them. What happens is when we eat excessive sugars, the body has no way to store an abundance of sugar. We already talked about this and how diabetes develops and all that kind of stuff. But what happens is it gets converted to fat, and that's how we end up overweight, because all the extra sugar we're eating is turned into fat rather than us actually eating too much fat. So always include a protein source in your meals and snacks. We will talk about this in the protein section, but the body can only store a certain amount of protein, but it's a super beneficial energy source for our bodies. So it's really hard to overeat on protein, one, because you get full, but two, because once the body has what it needs, it's just going to get rid of what it doesn't. So you're not going to convert that to fat. Really important, choose foods that you like. If you don't like cottage cheese, even though it's a powerhouse for protein, don't eat it. Don't force yourself to eat it, because it's not going to be something you can sustain. So find foods you like. Be okay to experiment with things and try things. If you're like, oh, I've never had that, try it. And then obviously another important thing is to make time to eat. Be purposeful and present. I don't know about you, but sometimes I get in a really bad rut of bringing my lunch to the desk and continuing to work, and I don't even realize that I just scarfed down my entire lunch or whatever I might have been eating. So be purposeful. That's going to really help you as well, and help your body recognize when it's full and when it's not. So don't eat in front of the TV. Be knowledgeable and mindful about what you're eating and when you're eating and how you're eating. So be present and enjoy it. So your homework today is going to be to track, continue to track weight, but also we're going to track activity, but then add in the number of sugary foods we eat. So you can do this 2 different ways. We haven't talked about tracking grams yet. We'll get into that next time. So for this week, you can just like tally the number of items you ate with added sugars in them. If you're someone who's using an app already and you started tracking your meals, it will certainly tell you how many grams of sugar you ate. You can write that down too. In general, they say shouldn't eat more than like 30 grams of added sugar a day. And that's maybe on the generous side, but a lot of us are going to be way over that. So it might be easiest just for you to like tally like how many items you had that did have added sugars. So these are going to be things that are probably not in their natural state. So like an apple is going to have sugar, but you don't have to count that because it's not added. But if you're eating a cookie, obviously that's going to be added. If there's sugar in your breads, you maybe would check that. If there's sugar in your cereal, or you've got oatmeal that's apple cinnamon flavored and there's sugar added to that. Those are the things maybe you'll want to tally. The goal here is just to try to limit how many of those processed sugary foods we're getting into our diet. So any questions on that for this week? Okay. I think that was my last, that was my last slide. So I'll take questions if you have any. Next time we're going to look at tracking our food intake. We're going to look at the food labels and how to interpret those and portion sizes and stuff, and how to start to identify how many grams we're eating of things. And we'll get into that as well. But keep on doing well, keeping yourself motivated. I have gone up a little bit in weight. I know some of you have said that too. I'm going to say that that's because we're starting to strength train, but it's going to take a while for the body to adjust anyways. So don't give up hope. The body's going to go through waves, especially if you're a woman. It takes a while. The weight doesn't go on fast and it doesn't come off fast. So steady wins the race. So any questions? Okay. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.